Your sexual values are your internal compass, shaped not just by family and culture, but by what your nervous system can truly handle. For some, casual sex is freedom. For others, it's emotional quicksand. The truth is, we all have a sexual shadow, the part of us that seduces, manipulates, withholds, or escapes through intimacy. And most of us don't even know it's running the show. Today, we're diving into how to uncover that shadow and choose sexual experiences that actually honor who you are. Casual sex feels effortless for some and like emotional quicksand for others. The difference? Your sexual shadow might be in control. Daily from Circles of Sexuality concludes, sexual values act as our internal compass when navigating relationships. Values are central to our sexuality because they serve as a guidepost. Values are also heavily influenced by family and culture, spiritual, legal, and political systems. In addition to these influential sectors, I believe values are influenced by our nature, feeling what we can and cannot emotionally handle in relation to sexual activity. If someone is sensitive or highly sensitive, as outlined in Aaron's The Highly Sensitive Person book, they may know they are intrinsically unlikely to successfully handle casual sex arrangements. The sexualization circle, including flirting, seduction, ego-driven purpose, objectification, withholding sex as ways to influence, control, or manipulate others, exemplifies the shadow, the dark side of our personality. Knowing our shadow takes emotional honesty with ourselves, maturity, and knowing the objective perspective of others on our sexuality, because there are many blind spots to our self-knowing. Since the shadow is largely unconscious, we must look to our dreams, daydreams, and fantasies that showcase this dark side. Once we recognize our daily shadow, we often refuse to look at it. We try to eliminate it. We refuse to accept responsibility for it and let it run us, or we utilize it in a constructive manner as an integral part of our personality. To locate this shadow, we can look to social, cultural influences that help shape one's sexual attitudes, preferences, and standards. Sexuality dives first into sensuality, which is the psychological and physiological enjoyment of one's own body and partners, including the genitals. The second branch of sensuality is the satisfaction of skin hunger, since it is the largest sex organ. We all have different levels of skin hunger in terms of intensity and amount due to physiological and social influences. The third branch of sensuality is the tension release of orgasm. It is necessary for therapists to understand the science and inner workings of the female orgasm and male performance anxiety. Daly states the mind is the most important and powerful sex organ. In this context, one must address the importance of fantasy, memory, and other sensory aspects of sensuality. Being a poet, I have a hyperactive imagination. And this is why I think I survived so well in long-distance relationships. I was able to play off fantasy and memory without sensory experience to sustain the connection. As Daly said, remembering can be a pleasurable and rewarding sexual experience. Out of the 5 compatibility sectors, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, sexual, and lifestyle, I most value emotional and intellectual compatibility. I have chosen an open, emotionally available partner who does not make me feel alone in his presence. However, this was not always the case, so I will empathize with clients who have fears of letting go in a relationship. I have become more comfortable with leaning on a partner rather than being the main one to emotionally support. True intimacy is creating interdependence, both giving and receiving. Because I am secure attachment style with anxious leanings, I mostly strike a balance between dependence and independence with my partner. I am comfortable disclosing thoughts, feelings, traumas, and triggers to my partner. I would encourage my clients to identify their triggers so they may choose a partner who does not always trigger those traumas or wounds. For example, if my client has a fear of abandonment, it may not be best for him or her to date an avoidant attachment style person who isn't working on being more secure, or a person riddled with addiction. On the other side of the intimacy coin is intimacy towards the self. Intimacy can be seen as an intrapersonal experience because you cannot fully love or give to another if you do not love or give to yourself. Being close to oneself through having feelings of self-love and self-acceptance are experiences of intimacy and increase the interpersonal intimacy. I have some intrapersonal intimacy because I have self-awareness and can act on that awareness, but I also have my own insecurities I work through. In terms of sexual identity, biological, gender identity, gender role, sexual orientation, I am an androgynous partner, valuing independence, industriousness, assertiveness, and at the same time, dependence and nurturance. I have a strong sense of both maleness and femaleness as part of my heterosexuality cisgender identity. I believe valuing both helps me become a secure attachment partner who is comfortable with dependence and independence. I can be independent, a straight shooter, assertive, and at the same time, nurturant and tender. Daly states, the androgynous person is more flexible in dealing with the social environment without being trained to behave or respond in a narrowly masculine or feminine manner. Because I embrace both the traditional masculine and feminine energetic roles within me, I encourage my clients not to reject the softer or harsher parts of themselves. Often men will reject their energetic feminine side, seeing it as a weakness. And women will reject their own assertiveness or masculine side by often diluting it with nonsensical sorries. Many women hesitate to set boundaries and utilize masculine energy because they feel enforcing them verbally is not nice. They'd rather ghost the person or have flimsy boundaries. Their feminine energy, not in balance with the masculine, can lead towards self-abandonment, placing another's needs above their own to the detriment of the self. Merging the realm of regular day life with sexual experience, as I have done, or escaping regular day life through sex could be applied to the concept of traditional masculine-feminine roles. For instance, a client may be fully in the traditional masculine role as CEO and breadwinner for her family, but when she is having sex, she wants to solely take on the submissive role. If we take this a step further, sometimes financially and politically powerful men like to be degraded during sexual acts, thus revealing the human need to seek balance. As their regular life reaches an extreme level, their sex life becomes an extreme. In this case, their shadow allows them to seek out humility and humanness through a dominatrix stripping them of their power. Through being dominated, distributing their power to another, they tip their internal balance back into check. I've known my sexual values for a while and how they differ from the mainstream hookup culture. I am also flexible in embracing the fact that the hookup culture successfully emotionally works for certain people, especially avoidant attachment style types, those who can detach, people who are not genetically and socially inclined towards monogamy, and those who are not ready to give away time and emotional energy to a relationship. For certain people, sexual exploration trumps emotional intimacy, and they can divorce the two from co-occurring. I make sure not to impose my own values on clients, but also encourage them to think for themselves, to not be swayed by partners or society. On top of being open-minded, I believe counselors need to know what is deemed universally unhealthy versus healthy sexual encounters, as individuals are statistically on the rise for becoming physically harmed by choking in the bedroom, to the point of hospitalization. I will assure my clients that the search for sexual identity is never complete because it is viewed in the context of our search for self-concept and self-esteem. Knowing the self, including one's sexual identity, is a continual enterprise.